Okay, problem number 38. Round each number in problem 37 to 4 sig figs. Okay, so when you're looking at number 37, you got a bunch of numbers. Let's round each one of these to 4 significant figures. So let's do them one at a time. Now I'm actually going to skip A and start with B. Okay, because there's something special about A that I want to point out at the end. Okay, let's just start with B. Now, when you round something to 4 significant figures, you got this number. It looks like it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 significant figures. So when you read a number from left to right, that's how you count sig figs. So here's the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, and then fifth one, sixth one, seventh one. So B is a 7 sig fig number, but we're going to round this number to this fourth sig fig position. And you remember how to round. You look at the fifth one, the next one, and if it's 4 or less, then you chop these off. They all become zeros. Okay, so this is a 4, so that means the remaining significant figures are all chopped off. And so B is going to look like this. 1, 2, 4, 8. And then the rest of those 3 digits simply become 0. So you see how after rounding it, this is now a 4 sig fig number. Okay, these zeros are not significant. Okay, you don't put the decimal point there because that would indicate that they're significant. What you're supposed to be left with is a 4 sig fig number. So this one rounded to 4 sig figs looks like that. Okay, so let's go to C. So you never count the zeros at the beginning. So here's the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's where we're going to round it. We're going to round C right there to that position. This time, this is going to round it up because this is 5 or greater. So the next number, if it's 4 or less, that you chop it off. If it's 5 or greater, then you round up. Okay, so this is 9, so this 5 is going to round up to a 6. So C, you keep that first part there, even though it's not significant. So 1, 2, 6, 6. Okay. Now you might wonder, okay, I kept the zeros here, so why don't I keep the zeros at the end? That 982, does that become 0, 0, 0? Well, no, it doesn't, because if it did, then when you look at this after you did the rounding, this actually looks like it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sig fig number, because you would count these zeros at the end because I see the decimal point. Okay, so after you round this, you simply leave those off this time because what you're left with after rounding should be a 4 sig fig number. All right, so D. All right, so here's D. So you never count the 0. You don't count that one. Let me get that all. So here's the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to round that position, and here this is a 5 next to the 4. So the 4 is going to round up. You're going to round to this position, but again, this is a 5. So you're going to round up. So it's going to be 0.123. 5. The 4 is going to round up to 5, and 0.1235, and you leave the rest of it off because if you put 0, 0, then it would look like you have more than a 4 sig fig number. Okay, so 0.1235. E. So here's E. So you read a number left to right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a 4. That's the 4th significant position, and it's a 7 that comes next. So it's going to round up, and you're left with 195.4. Okay, 195.4. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4 sig figs. I forgot to indicate sig figs for D. So there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. That beginning 0 is not counted. Okay, so for F, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next one is a 1. So the rest of it's going to be chopped off this time. So 4 or less, you chop it off. Okay, so this is 196.8. Okay, and so you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's kind of how you do it. Let's go back to A for a second. I want to point something out. So A, so here's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So you're going to round that fourth position, and then the 1, the 1, it's 4 or less, so it's going to chop off. So it's going to look like this. 2, 5, 4, 0, 0. Okay, you have to put that 0 at the end, because if you don't, that's 2,540. Okay, so this number is 25,401. So you know, you need to keep that 25,000 there. So that's, you know, put that 0 back there. Okay, to keep the same magnitude. All right. But now, when you look at the number that you left with, so 1, 2, 3 sig figs, and then here, you're not supposed to count the zeros at the end if you do not see the decimal point. So this looks like a 3 sig fig number, but the problem said we're supposed to round to 4 sig figs, but I know from my sig fig rules that I don't count the zeros at the end. And so how do you remedy this situation? Well, you put it in scientific notation. Okay, so this position is actually a significant position, and the way you do that is saying 2.540 times 10 cubed. You put it in scientific notation, and when you do that, that's kind of like telling the reader, okay, that's a you know, even though this is a 0 there, I'm gonna say that's a significant number, but the next one is not. Okay, so the way you remedy that is you put it in scientific notation with these 4 right there, and you leave that one off. Kind of tricky. A.